Hey there, my friends. This is Bill MacDonald, the reading and writing doctor. What you see here in front of you is a teeter totter, also known as a seesaw. So when you're doing a problem that's reading related, sometimes you have what we call the teeter being the heavy young man to the left, the transition, and the totter being the light young man to the right, or what you might call the C teeter saw. If you think of a relationship like that between two ideas, the cause is either the question, which makes the effect the answer, or the effect is the question, which means it would be the skinny young man that you see behind me, trying to point right there. He would be the effect, and we would need to go backwards over here to see the cause. So you just have to decide, is the question asking about, or showing you the cause or the effect in a relationship? And that way you can decide if they're giving you the effect, then you need to go backwards to find the cause of that effect. If they're giving you the cause, then you need to move forward in the selection to find the effect. And so one of the questions that they gave your 7th grade students that only got 43% correct in Texas was asking about some specific lines. And your kids have to understand that when they ask you about specific lines, usually they have to do with a compare, transition, contrast relationship, a cause, transition, effect, an action, transition, reaction, a conflict, rising action, climax, falling action, transition, resolution. So everything is related to a teeter-totter. So let me show you, because of that concept, the bottom portion of my revising graphic organizer. So the question is either the cause, sorry, the effect, and we have to back it up to find the cause. So the effect in this case would be the red light, which we would write over there, and we would have to back it up to find the cause, or the lines being asked about is the effect, and we would have to back it up to find the cause. And so unless your students can learn how to go backwards and forwards on a selection, they'll have a very difficult time with questions like this one that that use 3 lines. And so what I've done is, first I've looked at the lines in question as the effect, and then so we'll go backwards using the being the red monkey. And then we'll go backwards to see if there's a cause that's related to this, or if it doesn't work, then we'll use the lines in question as the cause, and we'll use the green monkeys to go forward to find the effect. So the question says, well, the problem, read lines 18 through 20. I can't help thinking of the birds that are here now that suddenly disappear in the wintertime, heading south for food, warmth, and shelter, passing us along the way. So, as you know, that's migration for whatever reason. So, that's either the effect that something caused the speaker to think that, or it's the cause that had an effect after it. So let's take a look at our four answers. She understands what her mom is trying to express in lines 1, 16, and 17. So if that's the case, then your students would have to rewind to those lines before to see, oh, because of those lines, we're able to figure out what the lines in the box suggest about the speaker, because sometimes they just throw a box at us and we have to look at where it is in a poem or a passage or a play. And so let me show you the top of my graphic organizer. If they give us a box like that with a question or a sentence or a part of a stanza or part of a scene, that then we sometimes can't just look at it by itself in the lines that they're asking about. We would have to look at the lines before and the lines after to figure out which one is correct. So let's, using yellow for going back and green for going forward, to see which one of these is true. Why does, what makes the speaker suddenly think about birds that are migrating? Something that happens before it or after it? And the reason I'm sharing this is because the answer to the question was actually not on the lines. It was a conclusion, basically, that you could draw from something that happened on the lines before or the lines after. So letter B says she's really observant about things that take place in her surroundings. So if we see her being observant and then causing, which causes this effect, then we would pick B. She believes that even the birds don't want to be around people of color. That sounds like a very pessimistic uh, answer. So if we look forward or look back and find her being negative and saying that even the birds don't want to be around them, but they're just passing us on the way, then we'll pick C. Or that she easily gets distracted when her mom talks to her about her view of life. So if her effect is, yeah, mom's over here telling me something, but I can't help think of something that has nothing to do with it, um, that's what being distracted means. So let's take a look at the lines before and the lines after to help us get a better picture of why the young lady starts thinking about the birds migrating. Here's our lines in question. That's our box sentence. That's question number 5. So if we were to back it up using the yellow, it said lines 16, lines 15, and it even said line 1. So let's see what the mom says on lines 16. Even us coming to Brooklyn, my mom says, wasn't just a coincidence or happenstance. Okay, so us moving from one place to another wasn't just happenstance. And then all of a sudden she starts thinking even the birds moving uh, uh, are doing it for a reason. So if we look all the way to 1, everything happens for a reason, my mother says. So that sounds like that could work for the first letter. Now, we look and see that if that fits with letter A, yes, because of her mom saying that everything happens for a reason, that even us moving uh, to Brooklyn, how does that connect with the birds moving south? Well, we're migrating to Brooklyn, the birds are migrating south. So I think that that could be an answer. Okay, let's look forward though, just to make sure that we check both sides of the equation, that we fast forward. There are no accidents, my mother says, just fate, faith, and family. So whether you go backwards or forwards, basically it's saying everything happens for a reason. There's nothing that goes by accident. And so even these birds are not happening by accident. So let's look and see which lines make the most sense. That she understands what her mom is trying to express in lines 16 and 17. When you check that using the yellow monkeys, the yellow details, whoops, I was looking at the screen instead of my paper. She understands what her mom is trying to express there. That is partially true. She's observant about things that take place. No, because her mother began talking about things that happened for a reason, because her mother did that, the effect was her to suddenly start thinking of these lines here. And so it had really nothing to be being observant. We can't draw that conclusion because the lines before and the lines after were not talking about surroundings or being observant. She believes that even the birds don't want to be around them, people of color, um, because observant about her surroundings was not discussed in the lines before and after and didn't connect, because everything has to tie together. Everything has to teeter and totter together to make sense. We're not going to pick that one. She believes that even the birds don't want to what? Be around people of color. Uh, it didn't say anything about the birds having an attitude of racism towards people of color. So that wouldn't make sense either. The last one, she gets easily distracted when her mom talks to her about her view of life. Well, because everything in a passage and in a poem and in the play ties together, we've got to figure out how do lines 18 through 20 best tie together with the lines before them and the lines after them. Well, it wasn't about being distracted. It had to do with the same concept, us moving from one place to the other, and even the birds moving from one place to the other. So it wasn't about being distracted, which would be a negative attribute, and birds not wanting to be around people of color, that would be negative. Being observant is a positive characteristic, but it wasn't talking about uh, how smart she was or how much she pays attention to the world around her. It was basically because she was paying attention to her mother. She's very observant about the things that her mother says. That would have been a closer answer to what is correct, which is exactly what letter A was saying. So as we read, we're going to choose letter A. And so have your kids think of the box lines or sentence as either the effect, the teeter, or the cause, sorry, yeah, or the cause, but the effect, the totter, or the cause, the teeter, the teeter, totter, or the see, saw. So that's my way that I would probably help. And again, the reason I'm sharing this is because whatever way was being used last year, apparently the students were only looking at the lines that were being asked about, and we're forgetting that just like the laces on your shoes, every stanza ties together, not just to itself, but to the other stanza. So it'd be like sort of like tying your left shoe. We'll call it stanza um, 3 to your right shoe, stanza 4. How do they connect? How do they relate to each other? And you can see from the teeter totter, cause effect, effect cause relationship that the correct answer was related to the young lady, the speaker of the poem, analyzing what her mom was saying and truly being able to relate to the fact that even the birds moving south for the winter happens for a reason. So God bless you guys. Uh, try the teeter totter concept with your kids and see if they get it that way.